Good morning, Malacañang Press Corps sa ating mga bisita. Kasama na po natin si Task Force Bangon Marawi Chair Secretary Eduardo De Rosario. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sige.
Okay, to the members of the Malacañang Press Corps, under Secretary Lucilagan of the SWD, under Secretary Ace Millar of HADSI, magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Task Force Marawi will now, Bagong Marawi will now give an update of our interventions in Marawi City, and after that we are ready for Q&A. The updates will be presented by Undersecretary Ace Millar. Ace, please.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today, for another Bangon Marawi press briefing, we are joined, of course, by the Task Force Bangon Marawi Chair, Secretary Eduardo De Rosario, and the SWD, Yusek Lusa Ilagan. To start with long list of some good news, the Kalinaw Kultura Mindanao, a culture of peace, a peace through culture, was recently launched in Iligan City to promote the diverse culture in Mindanao, nurturing the sense of unity and peace among Mindanaoans. This was conducted by the Philippine Information Agency in partnership with the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. The Information Management and Strategic Communication Support Group of Task Force Bangon Marawi showcased the interventions and rehabilitation efforts of the government for Marawi through a photo exhibit during the conduct of the 4-day Kalinaw Kultura sa Mindanao. In this event, Maranao products were also displayed to promote the culture and tradition of Marawi residents. Let's watch the video.
Information Management and Strategic Communication Support Group of Task Force Bangon Marawi showcased the interventions and rehabilitation effort of the government for Marawi through a photo exhibit. The TFBM exhibit made a presence at Robinson's Place, Iligan from July 26 to 29 during the conduct of Kalinaw Kultura. Being one of the partners of the event, TFBM aims to highlight its efforts for rebuilding a peaceful community for the Maranaos. A television was also put up to show the various services of TFBM in partnership with different private organizations in helping the affected residents for their recovery. Maranao products were also showcased. Among of these include the Arkat, Alawanin Marawi icon dolls for peace made by the Maranao women affected by the siege with the aim to promote the culture and traditions of Maranao society. Castro also reiterated that consultations and dialogues were conducted with different stakeholders of Marawi from April to May, wherein their inputs were considered for the development plan of the city. Kalinaw Kultura is a 4-day event spearheaded by the Philippine Information Agency in partnership with the National Commission for Culture and Arts, Local Government Unit of Iligan City, TFBM, Department of Education, Mindanao State University Main Campus, MSU Iligan Institute of Technology, Robinson's Place Iligan, DTI, Philippine National Police, Kulturismo, among others. The grand launch of Kalinaw Kultura held in Iligan City is one of the kind in the Philippines as it brings together different ethnicity in order to strengthen the unity of culture despite differences in traditions, ethnic groups, and religions, including clothing and cuisines. In his message, Undersecretary Harold E. Clavite of PIA emphasized the significance of the event as it creates an intensive campaign for cultural peace and unity. Kalinaw Kultura promotes cultural awareness through various performances of legendary Mindanao theater groups and artists, a competition featuring the dances of Muslim and indigenous peoples communities, a talk show discussing about culture, photo exhibits by TFBM and Kulturismo, product exhibits for Iliganon products and contemporary artists, and puppet shows. Together with Lou Antonio, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
On Department of Agriculture Livelihood Assistance updates, the Department of Agriculture distributed farm inputs and equipment to provide livelihood assistance to the crisis-affected farmers of Marawi City. Agriculture Secretary Emmanuel Piñol was present during the launching of the farm mechanization program and the turnover of a special area for agriculture development projects for the war-torn city, recognizing the need of the internally displaced farmers to immediately revive their livelihood. For the updates on livelihood and jobs opportunities, on the 18th of July, the Department of Trade and Industry spearheaded the Marawi Entrepreneurs Forum and Job Fair in collaboration with the different stakeholders and other member agencies under the Task Force Bangon Marawi's Subcommittee on Business and Livelihood. Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez presented the different interventions provided by the DTI in support to the rehabilitation of Marawi City and the recovery of its residents. DTI also awarded 500 livelihood starter kits, certificates worth 15,000 pesos each to the IDPs. The Department of Labor and Employment, on the other hand, led the conduct of the job fair, inviting Marawi residents to apply for more than 3,000 job vacancies during the event. Backing up those who will be hired during the job fair, the Department of Social Welfare and Development will also provide at least 5,000 pesos cash assistance to support the processing of their required hiring documents. On IDP transitory houses, about 60 IDP families received transitory houses at the Angat Buhay Village located in Barangay Sugunsongan, Marawi City. Vice President Lenny Robredo led the turnover ceremony along with Marawi Mayor Mahul Usman Gandamra, Xavier University Ateneo de Cagayan President Father Roberto C. Yap, SJ, and Metro Stone Ridge Corporation. This is the contractor, and the Chief Operating Officer Eliseo Aureliado, and other partners of the housing project for internally displaced persons. Each house in Angat Buhay Village has a floor area of 24 square meters, a provision for kitchen sink, restroom, yards, and a rainwater catchment. The design and construction of the houses were provided pro bono by the United Architects of the Philippines, Quezon City Elliptical Chapter, and Metro Stone Ridge Corporation, respectively. Through the same source of fundings, another 40 houses are expected to be built at the Angat Buhay Village in addition to the 60 houses that were already transferred. As additional information, the local government unit of Marawi secured the site in Barangay Sagunsongan for the Angat Buhay Village as well as the light and water connection. The area development activities had been undertaken with funding assistance from the Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao and Task Force Bangon Marawi. On surgical healthcare project, in commitment to support the recovery of the residents affected by the conflict rage in Marawi City, members of the Duterte Cabinet Spouses Association Incorporated sponsored and organized a 3-day surgical mission that intends to serve patients who needed surgical operations within the war-torn city and its neighboring districts. About 45 pediatric patients aged 1 to 18 years old were treated with conditions such as hernia, hycoeli, cordy, Hirschsprung's diseases, imperforate anus, ovarian cysts, closure of colostomy, minor surgery under sedation, and majority of the cases are cleft lips and palate. Also, the doctors and staff of Amay Pakpak Medical Center, in collaboration with the medical team of World Surgical Foundation, Philippines, and Udena Group, worked closely to make the surgical outreach a success. The CABSEC Spouses Association visited the Amay Pakpak Medical Center for the launching of the surgical healthcare project. On countering violent extremism, the Mindanao Development Authority, in partnership with the Association of Political Science Students of Liceo de Cagayan University, conducted a forum entitled Preventing Violent Extremism, Revisiting the Lessons of Marawi Siege, a CMO Perspective, which aims to establish an inclusive and non-violent approach to preventing extremism while pursuing sustainable peace and development throughout Mindanao. Around 300 students and academic partners from Northern Mindanao attended the said forum. Joint Task Force Now Deputy Commander Colonel Romeo Browner Jr. of the Armed Forces of the Philippines was invited to share about the various lessons and findings of the task force from last year's Marawi crisis. Currently, the Armed Forces of the Philippines is doing all efforts to prevent similar attacks anywhere within the Mindanao area and even countering violent extremism. Also, the AFP appealed to the public to become vigilant in possible recruitment of the Maute remnants. On ensuring quality education for learners of Marawi, to assist the cause of Department of Education, DepEd Marawi City Division, to delivering quality education to their students victimized by the war-raged city, the Task Force Bangon Marawi turned over portable amplifiers and lapels to the teachers of Marawi Central Elementary Pilot School, which is a temporary learning space in Barangay Sagunsongan transitional site where over 900 internally displaced students are currently enrolled. On moral recovery and psychosocial intervention, to ensure that all the IDPs currently staying in Sarimanok 10 City in Marawi City are comfortable and secured with their living conditions, several preparations have been done to enhance the IDPs' current situation. On August 14, the Task Force Bangon Marawi conducted a moral recovery and psychosocial intervention program at the Biyaya ng Pagbabago Transitional Shelter Site in Barangay Sagunsongan, Marawi City. Along with it, the Department of Social Welfare and Development also continues the distribution of relief assistance to the IDPs. On upgrading the project of Sarimanok tents, Task Force Bangon Marawi is currently into upgrading project of Sarimanok 10 City Site 1 and 2 in collaboration with its member agencies. Office of the Civil Defense ARMM donated insulators for the new tents. The SWD Region 12 donated new tents and provided a cash for work assistance for the IDPs related to the upgrade of the tents, while the SWD Region 10 provided construction materials such as nails, tie wire, and additional tarps. The local government of Marawi City will be purchasing bamboos. The Task Force Bangon Marawi and IOM will be supervising the ongoing implementation of this upgrade project. On social healing and peace building for Marawi City, the Office of the Presidential Advisor on Peace Process conducted a two-day inception meeting with 72 barangay chairpersons of Marawi City and 10 partners from civil society organization held in Cagayan de Oro City. This activity is part of the agency's intervention on social healing and peace building program for Marawi that includes the conduct of the capacity development for barangay functionaries, helping them to craft an efficient, conflict-sensitive, and peace-promoting barangays development plan. The OPAP also continues its town hall meetings to help Marawi stakeholders raise their issues, concerns, and aspirations regarding rehabilitation of conflict-affected communities. At this point, we would like to present two videos covering the accomplishments and the Task Force Bangon Marawi.
Hereby declare Marawi City liberated from the terrorist influence that marks the beginning of rehabilitation of the people.
Task Force Bangon Marawi leads the comprehensive and integrated rehabilitation of Marawi City and the surrounding areas to rebuild communities left devastated by the Marawi siege. The 5 months of fighting between the military and the Maute ISIS group resulted to 11.5 billion in damages and 6.7 billion in economic losses. The Marawi siege devastated the country's only Islamic city and halted agricultural and trade activities, affecting the way of life of the people of Marawi and the surrounding areas. Less than a month after the siege started, Task Force Bangon Marawi was formed in cooperation with the Marawi City Government, the Provincial Government, and ARMM. The task force improved access to basic services, created economic opportunities, strengthened capacities to help 353,636 displaced persons. As of August 2018, about 84% of IDPs have either returned home or moved to transitory shelters, and will continue to help all displaced families rebuild their lives in peace, progress, and dignity. With a 5 billion peso budget in 2017, TFBM delivered recovery assistance in 5 areas. Reconstruction cleared and improved road access towards and within Marawi, built pathways, drainage systems, and slope protection in transitory sites and evacuation centers, and water supply for families in evacuation centers. Housing. Task Force Bangon Marawi improved the well-being and safety of families. Electricity and water services are activated. 935 homes completed and awarded. In 2018, about 8,123 homes will be built, 4,500 permanent shelters, and 3,623 transitory shelters. Task Force Bangon Marawi secured the health and welfare of families. Task Force Bangon Marawi also made sure to secure the health and welfare of children. Task Force Bangon Marawi with the local government continue to facilitate the safe return of families, including the safe visitation of 11,163 displaced families in the most affected areas. Task Force Bangon Marawi improved food security and boosted income by providing livelihood programs, skills training, and employment. As well as restarted market access. And released zero-interest loans. Security, peace, and order. Task Force Bangon Marawi established rule of law and secured communities. While these service deliveries improved socio-economic recovery, TFBM's land resource management led research and assessments, including surveys of more relocation sites and baselines for land ownership. TFBM efforts were also reinforced by the information management and strategic communications, finance and resource mobilization, and legal groups. As we move into the final quarter of 2018, TFBM is rolling out the Comprehensive Rehabilitation and Recovery Program and is finalizing the MAA Rehabilitation Plan with the people of Marawi, so the task force can strategically implement comprehensive and well-coordinated recovery efforts that respond to the priority needs, aspirations, and religion and customs of the people of Marawi. In 2018, TFBM will continue to lead the long road to recovery and rehabilitation, but will need concerted efforts of communities and development partners to ensure that displaced families can immediately return home and build a stronger Marawi and Lanao del Sur that is full of economic opportunities, open to all ethnic and religious groups, and closed to violent extremism.
I will see to it that Marawi will rise as a prosperous city again.
On the indicative timeline, we would like to present another video. A 2-minute video, please. On the indicative rehabilitation timeline of the most affected area, the Bangon Marawi Selection Committee is currently undergoing negotiations with Power China, and we expect to complete the negotiation by next week, by the end of next week. And with this timeline, with this schedule, we expect the groundbreaking by third week of September. I now give the floor to Luz Ilagan, Yusek Luz Ilagan of DSWD.
Okay, thank you very much, Yusek. With regard what DSWD is doing so far, as of July 31, 64,364 families have already returned. That is out of the 77,170 families that were displaced. That constitutes 83% of the IDPs. But there are still evacuation centers that are being maintained, and we have 1,675 families in these centers. Among the home-based IDPs, there's a total of 11,131. But the DSWD is continuing with its services. Aside from the food and the relief that we still give, we have provided assistance, as mentioned earlier, with a 5,000 cash assistance for people who are now processing their papers so that they can have the employment that they want. The food packs are still being given for Ramadan, and we have food and non-food assistance, of course, cash for work for the people who help us in building the houses and also in clearing the areas. The 4Ps, or the Pantawid Pamilya Conditional Cash Transfer, is still being distributed to the inhabitants who happen to be beneficiaries, but the conditionalities have been waived. So unlike the other 4Ps beneficiaries who still have to undergo the conditions, those in Marawi no longer have to comply, and this would be until December. So the assistance is ongoing. We have given kitchen kits, family kits, hygiene kits, and also sleeping kits for those who have moved out of the centers and gone to Marawi. And so far, this would be the update, no? And the Task Force Bangon Marawi is where we belong. And so we work together with the other agencies, especially with regard livelihood and training, so that the identified IDPs can avail of the services provided also by other agencies of government.
Thank you, Lucy Lagan. Thank you, DSWD Undersecretary Ilagan. We now open the floor for questions.
MBC questions, Celerina, microphone.
Good morning po. Good noon. Regarding po dun sa groundbreaking by third week of September, hindi po ba masyadong delay na ang government? Kasi you first targeted May, and several months have passed, and right now wala pang, I think, major development dun sa main battle area before.
Well, I agree with you. Before we said that the groundbreaking will be as early as May, but because of numerous issues we encountered during the procurement process, so nagkakaroon tayo ng pagbabago with regards to the groundbreaking. So we are now saying that it will be on September 19, the groundbreaking, but it will not affect our target deadline of completing the most affected area rehabilitation by December of 2021. We are doing this to ensure that we will get the right developer and the right specifications will be met with the right standards that we would like to have to ensure that the rehabilitation will be in accordance with the standard that we have set.
Sir, ano ba specifically yung naging issues? Bakit ganon na ka-delay? And same contractor pa rin ba itong mga Chinese na consortium na to?
Before, we were negotiating with the Bagong Marawi Consortium. And because of our issues on legal, financial, and technical capacity of the developer, we declared an unsuccessful negotiation because they were not able to comply with all the required technical, financial, and legal requirements. So we shifted, since we have declared unsuccessful negotiation, we are now negotiating with the second developer, which is China Power. And so far, I was informed by the selection committee, headed by Undersecretary Ace Millar, that the negotiation is moving on smoothly, and as stated earlier during his briefing, it will be completed by the end of next week.
So, sir,